So I'm really excited to be on this panel together. I was able to get the free key for Gray Warfare, so I've been playing a lot of that as an extraction shooter fan myself. And yeah, we're here to talk about cheating by design, how to secure your game in the age of AI. And so I'd just love to get a little bit more and understand just a little bit backdrop of who you are and where you're from. So Johnny, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Giovanni. I'm the tech director at Finger Games. We're developing the game Grayson Warfare, which launched 2 years ago on PC and NES. We sold a million copies. We prepared the trailer, but somehow it's not working. So if you're not familiar with the game, well, you have to Google it. So yeah, my responsibilities at the studio is basically anything technical. I'm responsible for Grayson Warfare and all the tech that's going on in the studio. My mission is to make Grayson Warfare a technical success. So that includes security.
Jay?
Yeah, so I'm Jay O'Paul. I work right now at a company called Anybring, where I guess the way we pitch it is AI anti-cheat, but how I like to say is more behavioral intelligence. Is what we do is we don't do kernel level anti-cheat. We look at it from the lens of behavior. So the way that you touch the keypad, gamepad, whatever, that is the data that we use then to compare human versus synthetic behavior, see if it's real, or scripts, whatever else, all those things. You can also get things like agenda. So it's the most non-intrusive way to catch people, and that's sort of the mission, is to make things fair without having invasive things on your computer. So that's sort of the mission of Anybrain. Me myself, I've sort of done world-building games. I started doing mobile, and then since then it's been the Indie Studio, PC console, the Musu, which was data analytics company, now here, Anybrain. So it's basically everything that can check box in games. I'm kind of making my way around.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm really excited to be curating the AI track here at Nordic, being able to bring experts in like Ronnie and Jay to come talk about how we're really seeing the evolution of these tools into games. So just a quick introduction, my name is Russell Sun, and I'm the CEO of Immersive Inc. And that's what we do. We work with game studios, we work with publishers, we work with game companies to help them understand how to deploy the tools into their tech stack. And we're good. I think you can reach out and find us. That's a cool photo we got. This is that much hair before the pre-production.
Yeah.
So every time they release the patch, you have to cut some off.
That's how it goes.
Yeah. So let's get into it. So I'd love to dig into Anybrain. Just tell me a little bit more about how behavior research seems to be a core part of the technology.
Yeah. So for us, like I said before, Anybrain didn't initially start in games. We were at a PhD project back over 10 years ago now, back in 2015, at the University in Braga, in Portugal. Back then, it was from human-computer interface. So Andre, our founder, was doing research around, stress and fatigue with computer use, and how you can get that based on just input, right? Like the changes that you have as you kind of work with the device. Off the back of that, at that point, no one cared about like stress or mental fatigue. So we're like, what else can we do? Gaming. And so, right now, games kind of has this big problem around kernel level anti-cheat. We don't really want to enable that because it's a big problem that we've had and playing, especially online games.
Yeah.
And so that's where we started. We actually started from this watch from a fatigue point of view. And then off the back of that, what we did was we moved more towards online games, mobile, PC consoles, completely platform agnostic. And the whole point was to just protect people. Do it as kind of openly as we could with that. And I think input's just something that you automatically get from the game side. We built our models, like in-house models, trained over a year of 10 years now, to detect human synthetic behavior, hardware cheats, pretty much the whole spectrum of things. I mean, for us, it was just a thing that we've seen this problem of like, when you have to install something like Easy Energy or something like your Nuvo, it's been a big issue there, like big games, well, it's just really annoying to have to put that level of, So we were just from the angle of like, hey, we've got this tech. No one cares about the fatigue side, but we can look at this from human and synthetic behavior and just see, is it going to be applicable to cheats? That's kind of how we started, and it's been pretty much a pretty good journey from that. The industry's really wanted something, especially players, that aren't going to be at the kernel level of their PC.
Absolutely.
So that's how we kind of put it into games, and that's been sort of journey over the last 6 to 8 years now.
That
we have from esports to more mainstream gaming. and then working with people like Johan. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so coming back to, as a technical director, obviously your purview covers a lot of areas of the game. So why was anti-cheat something that you were so kind of,
Well, originally Grazon was supposed to be like a super only PvP, right? PvP was the main thing, and then we last minute were thinking, okay, PvP is like one aspect, but like a lot of players, for example, are like kind of tired of it. We were like, okay, let's also throw the PvP. So from the inception of Grazon Warfare, what we wanted is to have a very safe battleground. And we already knew back then that traditional anti-cheat can only get you so far, right? It's really expensive, it's quite pricey, and then the results are not the best, right? It's not applicable, and especially now in the AI landscape where there's like new kinds of cheats that are emerging where the client where it's running in its environment and the PC in which it's running can be completely bypassed and cheats might actually run on a secondary PC. And all those traditional ways to anti-cheat are just not working anymore.
yeah,
So this is why we decided to use Anyway and to take our eyes on behavioral analysis because ultimately this is what's left on the surface, right? This is once you get rid of all the threats, this is the last thing that you can still analyze. And that's the only thing that a cheat can actually try to use as a vector of attack on the game, right?
yeah. So I'd love to touch upon maybe you could shed some light with the two of you on how that relationship currently, like, what does that tech stack kind of look like right now between integrates and the current technology?
I mean, you want to go for it? How you guys use us?
Yeah. Okay, well, I mean, enabling any rain is just like you integrate the SDK and they require to send a bunch of data. And you send a bunch of data to them. And then they do the heavy lifting action for us of analyzing the model, etc. And then all the results they get, like they will analyze all the data, all the news, what input they have. We are also using in-game data now, so they cross it with in-game data. Based on this, they give us like the frauds that the various players are doing. As various types of frauds, it can be like agencies is one of the big one on Nordic. Nordic is the second biggest one, and then you have plenty of other things.
Yeah. So it's almost like a exchange of information. So you push some data to any brain platform, and then what does any brain do?
So
Back to that.
So you have two methods now. So there's the SDK, which is just like 4 lines of code that'll just go in there and push, I think, like every 5 minutes a data back to our server. I will say, like, we don't own anything with that data. We don't, track it. We don't get personal information, anything like that. And the data is fully owned by the studios themselves. All we have is we run enhanced our models. That kind of gives them the output. Based on detections, do we think this player is cheating? That would be kind of shown on our dashboard in terms of, okay, like this match or this player is coming up, and it has nothing like multiple accounts that play the same way. If it's like or something, we'll say, okay, this based on their shooting pattern, you can see here is like human behavior. Here is what we see synthetic behavior being, and this is what matches with this player's session. So it's really just using that data and benchmarking that against sort of our models, helping sort of train them as well. So like each player gets a profile. And based on that, that's how you can tell that this behavior is sort of their normal distribution. That's why you see anomalies within the specific layers, not like benchmark against the whole industry. So that's kind of how we work. Obviously, each game has slightly different like triggers and things like that. Like I also mentioned, we're doing telemetry based on if the pop studio wants to give us additional contextual information about how people are playing the game and a little bit around that. We can then look at, okay, maybe they're cheating based, like they start cheating it as they exit the lobby and then they switch it off at certain points.
Right.
So then we can get more contextual information around that as well for them. But that's completely random studio. And what do they want us to do? The data at the end result is theirs. We won't ban anyone. We don't have access to their backend per se, or anything like that. So it's all just purely from an information point of view of this is what we see in the data, this is our benchmarks against our models. Yeah, this is what we see based on things, which is all this work to look out from the telemetry side.
So I guess digging down to that stack. So now that data has come out from the game, so the process with the new brain, and now it comes back to you. Yeah. Personally, what happens next? There's like a threshold of detection. What do you do with the
So what it gives us is like a list of frauds to clear, right? And fraud time. And then based on this, we have a lot of automatic planning rules, right? So all the data we receive is coming from an API.
Right.
And then based on what we get in the API, we have various plan rules with different thresholds. Usually what we do is we gradually increase the severity of the sanction. So we start always with like some temporary bans for like just a few hours, just to like as a deterrence mechanism. We can show the player that we know they've been cheating and we can detect it. And most of the time, this is quite successful because a big chunk of the player, once they see that they get banned using cheats, they stop using it, right? And you can also see that in our data. You can see it in the chain of the player. And then what we do is, if there's repeated offenses, we increase the severity of the sanctions all the way up to a permanent ban.
So we talked a little bit off stage before about how anti-cheat can affect design decisions on the game. So maybe once you went live, were there any surprising data points that influenced the design of the game?
So we didn't really change the design of the game based on the cheaters. Like this is not what we want to do, but we did found a few vulnerabilities in the game. So for instance, it was possible to fire the gun much quicker than was intended because matching inputs would result in you firing quicker than the fire rate of the weapon, right?
Right.
So this is something we had to patch. But like this is where with modern cheaters, you cannot just prevent them from cheating. Like you need to secure the code of the game itself and the game rules. And that's also another, like apart from behavioral analysis, that's another way you can protect the game by just having an authoritative server and then enforcing the game rules tightly so that the client cannot do whatever they want. Within the game.
So it seems like a multi-layered approach makes the most sense, right? Like, tell me more a little bit about once you do some behavior detection, you obfuscate that data so players don't have that client-side exposure.
Yeah.
Then you have some of the runtime protection to be able to act on the information. Maybe some anti-tampering and automated ban. So what's the balance here between all of these different layers and tools?
It's not really balanced. Like I think to have a comprehensive protection for your game, you need everything, right? We're still using like anti-cheat, right? Like the one that's protecting the binary and preventing cheats to the game and quickly memory, right? But these things are fallible. It's still important to keep them because cheat developers, like cheating is a business, right?
Yeah.
So they're finding the cheapest way to develop a cheat to sell a subscription to players and make money out of it, right? So everything you do will lose some friction on their own work pipelines to develop those cheats and will increase the barrier for them, like the initial cost to get to a functional cheat, right? So this is where anti-tampering is important because it's not preventing the cheat from functioning, but it's allowing the cheat developer to find what they're looking for in the memory of the game and basically make it easy for them to hook into the memory, find what they want, and then exploit the memory, right?
And so this is a little bit relevant in that area. Like, what's the most common threats you guys have seen in terms of maybe what players have been trying to do or accomplish?
For us, we've seen mostly like in-box and things like that, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of times people just want easy wins.
Installation, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the most common thing. And like how I was mentioning earlier, is not all these players are going to be equal, right? Like sometimes they're like, hey, I just want to play and like win, right? Because I'm at a bad day or something. Right. And so like not all of these people are being offended. So you've also got to distinguish like, is this just somebody who's like testing this once? And that's where you have sort of that scaling thing in terms of the function. So the generic ones, I think people go for the simplest, like lowest hanging fruit. And like Hani was also mentioning, we see anti-cheat and security as a stack.
Yep.
It shouldn't just be like, oh, you have one solution and it's kind of done, end off, because except players are, and hackers, but cheaters are really intelligent people.
Right.
They know how to use the tools of the day to hack these systems. So I think you do need a multi sort of level approach in security and have apps like UCS security and stack. And so it is going to be sort of the basic tampering, and then the layer with us for AI actually or behavioral, and then anything else that you're using from like moderation for us to manage your game. By and large, the most common ones are whatever's the simplest thing for them to get away with.
Yeah.
They'll try it whichever game. It depends on the level of security of the game. People will try different things.
Yeah, actually, so I want to touch on this kind of like reactivity versus proactivity on the side of the developer. How far do you take the prediction of a cheater versus the confirmation of their behavior?
Okay, so in terms of like sanctions, we never do it proactively because that would be super risky. We could have a lot of false positives. So this like what we do with AnyBrain is very reactive as a system, right? We have to wait for the cheater to cheat, for us to detect it, and then apply sanctions. And this is a bit sad in a sense because it means that the cheater has time to ruin the experience of other players.
Right.
So this is why we have to also use other tools like that are more proactive, like such as anti-terror. Another way to also like increase the downtime of cheats is to patch your game. It's very simple, but like patching your game changes the memory layout. If you do it right, you can even like play with this in your build system and make sure that you automate changing the offsets, moving the fields in memory of various classes that you know are interesting for cheats. And just the act of releasing a patch, sometimes even a hotfix. Like the moment where we have the least cheater is always when we have the most technical issues in releasing hotfixes after hotfixes.
Right.
I'm not proud of that, but it's happening.
It happens. It's game development. And so obviously, as a player now myself, we talked about this briefly off stage too. Like because of the gameplay mechanics of Razor, you could just be entering a village or entering a city, and then out of nowhere you can get sniped. And if as a player, it feels much better knowing that that was a good shot by opponent. And so I just want to learn a little bit more about how has cheating. Have you seen like it affect the behavior of your player base? Has it affected retention for you and building trust in that way?
Yeah. What we're seeing is that when the players are complaining the most about cheaters, we see that actually they shift towards PvE, right? But there's a fatigue going on when we see that we are like outback with cheaters as quickly as we want, or like we can see that the cheat developers, all the cheats are up, etc. We can see that there's a shift from the community towards more like PvE, so that they cannot be killed by those cheaters. That's what we do in PvE now.
So they're still in the game, just in a different mode, and then kind of gives you a signal to maybe take a look at what's going on.
Like improve our banning rules, make them tighter. Rules, this is something we do with AnyBrain. We look at the data, we look at the false positive rate and stuff like this, and then we're like, okay, this model is performing really well, it's really accurate, so we can ban sooner, we can ban even on the first call, which sometimes can happen in the first hour gameplay of the player, right? This is another thing we didn't mention yet, but it's like with AnyBrain, we are able to detect most of the cheaters, most of the frauders, less than 24 hours after they started playing the game. Which is
Quick,
very
quick, yeah.
And it's not 24 hours of gameplay, it's like first day when it plays, so it's like usually in the first few hours.
Amazing. So what's next on AnyBrain's radar? What are you guys kind of cooking up in the kitchen?
We're still working on models. I think this is sort of a never-ending game, and as AI continues to be developed, things get more sophisticated. So for us, it is just matching what's happening in the ecosystem, being able to train up our models to be as accurate as possible to reduce the false positive rate as much as 0.001% rate. So maintaining that, making that as good as possible, because like you don't want to ban an actual player who's playing bad, right? That destroys trust in the game, that destroys the ecosystem. So we're very careful about that, and it is about making sure all our models are up to snap. One of the big ones that I know we've probably on for a while is Wallhack, so we are working that. That's like very close to coming out, and then a couple other things for all the new things that keep popping. So we have an aerogram for that. But like I said, because this is technology, right? So it's platform agnostic, it's also industry agnostic. So we're sort of looking at where else we can implement that, because we have like a huge data set now. I think we're over 150 games. So that data set at this point is kind of old for us to be able to build these models as robustly as we can,
right,
and to develop that further. So it is really about like our mission is to have fair play across the board, to protect people in games, outside games as well. And so that's where we're pushing. It's like that mission is going to be never ending, and these cheats keep evolving with players. And so we just have to be on part of that.
Yeah.
It's really about pushing that technology.
So I have a follow-up question for Johnny. How early in the production cycle did AnyBrain enter did you start working together, and then is there something that you would have done differently now with your hindsight as a technical director?
Yeah.
With the lens of anti-cheat.
So we shipped with AnyBrain from the beginning, like the early access version was shipped with AnyBrain. AnyBrain was like we knew we wanted it like maybe even a year before. So they were always part of the picture. We always planned to use the analysis in our anti-cheat. In hindsight, now what we would do differently is to probably have tighter rules from the beginning, right? On the moderation side, on the auto bans. because this is ultimately what makes the biggest difference. And then, we saw a huge uplift in detection and our ability to detect various kinds of cheats when we started tracking also in-game data, not just inputs. That made the biggest difference. Because a lot of cheats are bypassing inputs, right? And they're directly injecting offsets to the camera into the memory. When we started tracking those basic stuff like just sending to anywhere in the camera position every frame, then they can put this into their AI models just for that purpose. And this is also big push on it, right?
Yeah.
Hey guys, we will send you this data and
Take more. Yeah.
analyze it, find those new kind of cheaters.
Amazing. And so, what's exciting you about what you're working on Razor for the next update or coming in the next quarter?
And just generally or like entity wise.
Both entity and or gender.
Yeah, which is had like a fairly successful. They were quite happy with 0.4. I wanted to show you a trailer of it. It's unlisted on YouTube for some. I didn't know it was such a big. Yeah, this update was like great. We took the game, took it apart, did all the systems, redesigned things, and made sure that all the systems are nicely copied together.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned that my gaming group we were playing Razor before the update, and then they came back because a lot of the quality of life. I think that's really admirable. Continue to iterate and build.
That's the way we want to build it. We are community first, right? It's on every single of our dev scripts and it's in every single of our videos. There's we have a huge white poster and just let's hold it. Yeah. Quality of life is just one of the major pillars. We have always the update divided in a few areas we want to improve the game on, and 25% of the development time will always be quality of life.
Amazing. Quarter. That's amazing. So I want to open up to questions. If the audience has questions, this is a good time to poke the brain, to poke any brain of their. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. In terms of communication to your community, how did you approach this? We have integrity and teaching stuff, and that is the position we are taking. We want to have cheater. We want you to report cheaters. We inform your community after when they are reporting the cheater, but yes, measures and detail what was your global approach to other.
So the question is if when the players are reporting other players for cheating, if we give them closure and we tell them what happened with that player.
Every time hey, we take cheating seriously. For hey, we want to we have a solution for it. We want to foster positive environment. The cheaters are not coming out on balance of things.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't think we do the best job of this, right? We don't try to give closure to players. Of course, whenever I'm at dev stream, the question about anti-cheat and cheaters comes up, right? And I just keep answering the same thing over and over, which is we are never stopping to work on anti-cheat, and we're just continuing to upgrade our anti-cheat solutions to make sure that the game is secure to various degrees of success, right? Sometimes we have more peak in cheater activity, sometimes less, especially when patching more or when we're seeing new technologies. We don't give closure to players when they report cheaters. So that's something that we could do actually, because it's not so hard. We have all the data at hand and we could send. So essentially, the process is invisible to the community. The only thing is when they play a match, they can see if they met a cheater or not. Sometimes we also get a lot of reports that are just rage or inaccurate, right? Some players are just good and they will do those impossible snipe shots, right?
Question.
Yeah, thanks.
This is a question for anybody. So I understand it's very much like cat and mouse, cheaters versus what you do.
Yeah.
Who would you say is faster? I mean, not it's like the company, but who is it?
I think it's really dependent. It is a cat and mouse game, so we're always chasing, they're always running, that kind of thing. And sometimes it's vice versa. I'd say we have a really good speed in terms of the AI side specifically, because it's something that we have an expertise on for now 10 plus years, right? We've been doing statistical inference for way longer than it's been in the mainstream. So from that perspective, I'm very confident that, our team and our models are very capable of capturing these things as fast as they're kind of developed or as close to. When it comes to, I guess, more traditional ones, like hardware hacks, when we're doing a lot of different things, people always find ways so it really depends on, I guess, how the cheater is angling it and how famous they are on that. because there's some things that we can't necessarily touch as much, whereas other things when it comes to I think more the software AI side, that we're very capable of. When it comes to a little bit outside the realm of that, I also mentioned it's a business, right? One of these companies that have hardware, other things like they want to sell their tech, and for them the interest isn't to help prevent cheaters because cheaters pay for the tech. So when it's from that development point of view, it's we're going to have to get that system in there, ingrain it into our models. That takes longer because they built it, sold it out. The longest time that we can keep this off, the better for them. So it really varies on the type of cheat that you're looking at and what that behavior looks like for us specifically. So a little bit of both.
Awesome. Well, we have a couple more minutes. So is there anything that I might have missed?
I guess from the audience, any topics?
Are there any
from a design
questions,
perspective,
topics,
or game perspective?
not just with the anti-cheat?
I have a question about potential cheaters that are the cheating companies, the companies that make cheat. I mean, they're like an army of programmers working against them. To me, it's really hard to keep up as cheat is anti-cheat stuff, basically. And I can sort of in my mind foresee the future where these cheating companies is using AI to make the player just as good as the best player all the time. So that's going to be, in my mind, really hard to detect because they can actually make them play like a real person. How do you?
Well, I mean, I think that's really where our technology shines because, like I said, the models, when we build them, it's per player, right? So if they're starting from cheating from day one and they're doing it, then you'll see that synthetic behavior because we'll get access to those cheats, right? Like once it's on the market, we'll be able to see them and train our models to detect. But if the player's behavior is shifting over time, that hey, like they played one way and all of a sudden they've got a different personal biometric, that's something we can detect very straight off the bat right now. So from that perspective, it's already easy enough for us to detect it. Like Charlie was saying, it's also a point of you've got to make it a limit to the point where it's not really worthwhile for the cheaters to cheat, right? If they're like, I'm going to play as badly with a cheat as I would normally, what's the point of paying like $500 a month to play, right? Because to win one match out of every 5. And that's where our AI models are really sort of distinct in terms of how we develop them, constantly are developing them to keep up with what's happening with all the new model releases and everything else. I think the fact right now is that a lot of the LLM and that side of AI isn't as well understood. And a lot of the people using this tech to try and build things don't really understand it as robustly as us, which is where I think our sort of competitive edge comes from. The fact that we have 10 years of research on the statistical side. That allows us to sort of pace with whatever's coming out there and essentially have contingency for that. We haven't yet got to a point where I think AI is going to complete us. Might happen one day, but like that's kind of where we're at, and we're pushing for our tech to go. And so far, it's been pretty good. I can't promise it'll be good in like 5-10 years. Who knows what's going to happen there? But that is essentially the mission of the company, and that is what.
I mean, I think if you're coming from a smaller studio or smaller game development company, it can feel pretty intimidating being the one line of defense when there's all these other companies out there who are fully dedicated to basically trying to break the game, right? So
yeah, this sort of goes a little bit maybe outside the level we talked about, but some of the big news coming outside the security field are covering is general. That a lot of these versions of the AI models are basically set against software just trying to find vulnerability, like to find 0 days when it's find ways to exploit the software. Is that something we're experiencing as well? And like, especially from a game developer side, we find more on really find them to hear what you're experiencing inside of your data.
So the question is if we are using models that can find vulnerabilities in code, because probably change developers are using them, and we could use them proactively to patch our vulnerabilities before they discover them, basically, right? We're not doing that yet, but it's a good idea.
I mean, we've had this conversation yesterday where like part of it is on the design.
Yeah, because like we're not using models to analyze our code to find vulnerabilities proactively before they could be discovered. Right?
Yeah.
So of course now we are at a point where like we're writing a lot of the code of the game with AI, and we are also reviewed by and that's very part of the processes. So it can come up that it will highlight some security vulnerabilities or ways to attack the game design and find flaws in the rules and how we've implemented them, right? And obviously we're patching those things. That's the best case when we discover that we're recording these things because we are patching it before it's public and this is invested.
Great. Well, thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Jay, for coming up and doing this panel together. And yeah, thanks for listening.
Thank you very much.